So when I got home and the house had been raided, I got the baby out of the car, and then, like I said, my kids were just standing there in the doorway, like silent and just freaked out. They couldn't hardly walk because the floors were covered and all of our belongings, all of their school old little tests and A pluses and their little projects. I mean, I'm telling you, it was devastating, devastating. But I gotta give the devil his due. Anytime I want to say fuck the police, I wanted to mention the one thing that they did not touch. So I know they went through my husband's things in my closet. Things were packed up. Again, they couldn't tell the difference between my belongings, and obviously in bins and in closets, that is often where maybe people would hide things. So they did treat my husband's things horribly, like they really did. But he was cremated. So his ashes were in a really beautiful box, a wood box that someone made for him, a good friend. And we had like a hutch that was very specific. So I had everything. I'd never got rid of one thing. So his belongings from his life, I always would say, like, his trinkets, right? All of the trinkets of life, like those things I wasn't ready to get rid of. So I kept them in bins. And that was, I'm not saying it's less important, but there was like a altar. There was more of a space in our dining room in the hutch where he could be with us when we had dinner. His ashes, his urn was there, his glasses, his wallet, pictures of him and my kids, pictures of him and my mom and dad and my sisters, pictures of him with his nephew, niece, and his sister, like just very specific. I tried to keep it really not cluttered on that hutch. It was his urn and a few really important things. Like I said, his glasses, his wallet. There was these cute little tiny mugs that said Mr. and Mrs. Just that's where we like to talk to him. That's where we felt, he was able to join our family the best in the dining room. Not only was it in the center of the house, it was also an open floor plan. So like in the kitchen, in the living room, it was all open. So the dining room was the best place. The police, and when I said in the other video there was 45, I'm telling you because I talked to my neighbor. Oh, I forgot to talk about my neighbor. I'll talk about my neighbor. So they did not touch any of that. I'm not saying they didn't remove the lid and then, look or whatever and then like put it back. I'm not saying that. I have no idea. But it was pristine. I just wanted to mention that because as fucking pissed as I am, I respect that they showed, I am grateful that they didn't touch the hutch. Okay? Because my kids were so fucking traumatized. And if they would have done anything to the hutch that in any way was just, blasphemous to their dad's ashes, I don't know what I would have done. So I have to be honest. I'm still irate about the raid, but the devil does get its due with that. I'll say they left it alone. They left it as it was. We came home and it looked untouched. I believe they touched it because they were looking for something. So, but I'm saying they had whoever it was, and I'll never know. I'll never know. Whichever officer it was, they did at least have it in their heart to put it all back. So, I wanted to mention that. Okay, so I did say in the other video that I talked to my neighbor. So I was completely freaked out. I didn't think I was gonna cry. I just keep saying that, but I feel like I am unhealed and about this and unrealistic again, man, about how I've come out of it because I feel strong until I talk about it. And I think maybe I'm struggling to properly heal from the trauma, I guess, because I don't like to be a victim or whatever. But I talked to my neighbor because in my mind, what I was thinking was I had thrown him out with a curtain rod. And then I evicted him as a single mom of 4 kids, just newly clean. I went and paid $500 just to evict him. I paid the money. I was in the fucking red. I was in the negative, right? I'm just it's important for me, and I felt led again by God, right? To do this. And I was like, even if it's my last dollar, I have to get rid of him. I have to do everything I can to protect my kids. And so I believed that he was gone. With all of that being said, when I went to San Diego, I thought he was gone, and he wasn't. When I came home and I saw the house was raided, I was like, he wasn't here. I wasn't here. Nobody was here. God, protected myself and all of the babies, making sure that I had everybody with me. So when I left, nobody was there. So in the news, because it was on the news, and it was in the paper, they had made arrests because there was 3 houses, 2 other houses and mine. They got raided on the same day at the same exact moment. And there were several arrests. I wish I could remember how many, but I think maybe 30 or 60, or in between that number. I can't recall. But there were arrests and there were things seized at 2 out of 3 houses, right? And I look and he's not on there. So, and I wasn't home, remember, I'm out of town. So I don't know. And this is a homeless man that doesn't have contact with his family. There was no way for me to know. So I seen on there that the houses that they raided, and they gave me in the paperwork, I actually had the addresses because they had the search warrant. So it had all 3 houses, their whole plan. It had the whole thing in there. It was these 3 houses were going to get raided. There was a house in Planada, a house in Merced, and a house in Atwater where I live. So, I had the information right there. So on the news, he wasn't there. She wasn't there either, his girlfriend. I went to the, recently booked or whatever website, and they weren't there. So I was assuming he wasn't there because I evicted him and he listened to me, right? It was all working out. And I was like, okay, I have to deal with this right now, but he wasn't here. My neighbor came over and said that she saw my father-in-law at the end of the street talking to the cops the whole time. They just had him right there and they didn't even take him. So why did you raid my house? I just can't believe it, because I lost so much in that raid. I lost so much. I'll get into it in the next couple of videos, but they had him in front of them, a drug addict person, clearly on drugs. He was on drugs 24 hours a fucking day. And I know they went inside and destroyed my house. They did the same thing to the garage. They found it. They found it there. And they didn't take him. So what the fuck are you doing here then? Why did you do this to me?